Okay, so this is kind of like a part two. I'm going to talk about the books I read in May. I did a reading challenge in May. So I didn't publish anything in April because I was really focused on that reading challenge. So I will meet you over in the May section. Okay, so like I said, I did a reading challenge in May called the Goober Readathon. It is hosted by Goobers who read. I will link them below. But basically, the theme of this year, they have a couple different reading challenges you can do. And the theme of their reading challenges this year is like you have this little ghost character. This is Ghosty Goober, and he's learning how to cook, he's learning how to bake, and he wants to make his own bakery. So you're helping him create his bakery by reading certain books and earning certain points for things. So the reading challenge was that you are learning how to cook and I took a screenshot of some of the stuff below, but I'll talk more about each of the different categories as we go through what I read in May. But basically, you read a book, you get points, and it helps him learn how to cook. So May is going to be broken up into two different videos because when I recorded this earlier, it was 40 minutes long, and that's a long time. So I'm going to talk about it. I'll link the Goobers Who Read if you would like to join their community. They're really fun over there. They do a lot of journaling stuff. They do reading challenges. Like they're just a lot of fun over there. So I will get into what we read in May. So I pulled these stats from Storygraph. That's kind of where I track all of my reading stuff. But during May, I read 20 books, which is a lot for me. I normally read between like 12 to 15 maybe, so this was quite a bit for me. It was really, really fun, but it was like really, really stressful to do a challenge like this. I do think I'm going to take a little bit of a breather in June. Having said that, I've already finished a book and a half in June, so like who knows? But I did notice I was getting like really stressed about the time and like burnt out towards the end. Um, but we'll talk more about that at the end. So I read 4 ebooks, 11 audiobooks, and 5 physical books in May. Okay, so the way this works is each category in part A. So we'll start with part A, and I think I'll do the next video as part B, and it'll be a bit shorter. So in part A, you had to read each section in order. You didn't have to read, how do I want to word this? So in this section here in kitchen basics, I had to read in order number 1, food safety, number 2, menu planning, number 3, produce sourcing before I could read the next book. However, I could read books in different categories. I didn't have to read this section and then move to the next one, if that makes sense. So for this month, for kitchen basics, like I said, the first section is food safety. This was a book you think you would like. The second section was menu planning, which is a book that you plan to read this year. And then the third book, uh, which for me was the only book I DNF'd, was produce sourcing. So anything that you got within the last 2 months before the reading challenge started. So for food safety, I picked Booked for Murder, which is an audiobook that I had on my Kobo. And it's just like a cute little murder mystery novel. It's really sweet, and it's by I believe, a British narrator. So like if you're like she has a fun accent and she's like a really soft-spoken voice. So like her audiobook was like really soothing to listen to, even though it was like a murder mystery. Just a cute little murder mystery story. I'll probably read the whole series. There's, I think, 4 books in this series. I have 3 of them on my Kobo already, so they're just fun, like background, like to put on and kind of listen to, and they're not super serious. Um, and just fun little reads. The second book was The Incubus's Assistant, which is just pure smut. It is what it is. It's a story about an incubus who is looking for an assistant, but he also is looking for what he calls a feeder, which is how they restore and control their magic as they feed. And how an incubus feeds is how you would expect an incubus to feed. And he confuses his new assistant for his feeder, and things just like go off the rails. It's almost purely smut, but it's a fun read if you want something quick and just like kind of weird. Um, it's a fun read. So, one of the rules of the reading challenge was if you had DNF'd a book, you could still count it towards your reading challenge goal if you DNF'd it over 50%. So I was really excited about this book called The Turning. This is a sapphic story about two assassins who are like trying to like overthrow this like Russian criminal organization. Um, it was just it was more smut than I was expecting and less plot, and I was just like kind of upset about that because I thought the storyline sounded really good and I wasn't like in the mood for smut. Um, so yeah, I DNF'd this one. I'm a little sad about it because I see this author recommended all the time in like the sapphic um like Facebook groups and stuff, and it just makes me sad that it was just more smut than I was expecting. Um, but yeah, those are the first group. So in the first group, I got the full 6 points. Okay, second group. I read, so the first book I read in this group was Lost Souls Meet Under a Full Moon. I have a different cover than what was like in Storygraph, but it's the same book. Um, so this category was 300 pages or less. You can see this book's pretty short. Um, this is very similar to the book I talked about in April, where it's like short little vignettes about different characters and how they interact with like the same thing. In this case, the thing is a person who is a medium who can like connect to the dead, and they can connect. They arrange meetings for people who have passed on and people who are still living on the night of the full moon. And the book kind of talks about how the medium like gets into this role, and there's like 4 characters who are like his training. So this book is him going through his like mediumship training. It does have a sequel, so I'll probably read the sequel. It's pretty good. It's like a nice like there are some sad scenes in it. It talks about death, obviously, but like in general, it's a pretty like cozy read. There was only one that I was just like it's just like very sad. Um, but for the most part, it's kind of just like a cozy little read. So the next book I read in this section was The Paper Magician, which is a really, really cute fantasy novel. Um, and it has a really unique magic system. This series, there are 3 books in the series, and then there are other books in the same universe with like the same characters. But really cute little fantasy novel. This series is about the paper magician, and this is a woman who is like just graduated from magic school and like is getting her magic assignment, and she gets assigned to be a paper magician, which is not what she wanted. She wanted to be like a blacksmith or a glass magician. And she has to like deal with the fact that she's a paper magician, and she has to deal with like learn how to be a paper magician. It's a dying art because, technology advances and things like that. So she's like really disappointed, but it's just like a really cute little fantasy novel. It's a really good kind of love story. Yeah, and I highly recommend this book. It's very, very good. And this was pressure cooking. This was finish the book in 24 hours. And then the third book in this category was pastry making, which is a book that has a 4-star average rating. For this section, I picked All Systems Red, which is the first book in the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. Um, Oh my God, these books are hilarious. They're really, really short. The first like four books are all under 3 hours, and then I think the fifth, sixth, and like five through eight are like 6 hours. So they're all really short. They're so funny. The books are about a security robot who has like overridden his security protocols. So he's no longer like bound by like his governing body to like do certain things. And all he wants to do is sit and watch his soap operas. But he's like a security robot, so he has to like go and like protect the humans and stuff. It is so funny. Great quick reads if you're into that. An audiobook narrator is so good. The Kevin, I don't remember his last name, but his first name is Kevin. Those versions are really, really good. I didn't like the full cast versions, but the ones narrated by Kevin, whatever his last name is, are really, really good. And again, super, super short. So in the second category, I again got the full 6 points. So you'll start to notice, especially in the next category, there are certain categories I didn't finish, but I was still able to complete the reading challenge the way I wanted to, which was really exciting for me because I've never done this before. So the next category is Nature's Kitchen. So you had Farmer's Market, which is a recommendation by the community. So the Goobers who read community have a Discord that you can like engage with if you choose to, but basically like they sent out a giant list of just like books that the community recommended, and you could just like pick and choose which books you wanted off of there. So I picked When Among Crows. I'll be honest, I picked it because it was short. This book I think was only like 120 pages or something. And then Sustainable Ingredients is a borrowed book, so I actually borrowed this book from the library. They came to Slay. Um, and then the third category was composting, which is read and donate a book. And you'll notice, like for each of the X's that I have, I had a book planned that I was going to read, but I just ran out of time. So for the first book, I wish it was longer, surprisingly. I just like it took me a really long time to figure out what was going on and to like want to like feel for the characters and like relate to the characters. But it's about like a witch who's cursed, and then there's a man who offers to like break her curse if she can take him to Baba Yaga to like help him with whatever he's like super secretive about like what his goal is. And along the way, I think they meet an incubus. I think he's an incubus. I can't remember. But he kind of joins them to like help them get to Baba Yaga. And it is like a really cute, like found family, like kind of story. It's a little weird, but it wasn't bad. It's just like for me, I wish like it was longer. I wish I had better backstories because like it took me a really long time to figure out what was going on and to like really, like get to know the characters. So I just wish I had more for that. And then there's They Came to Slay, which is like how queer culture and D&D and how like D&D started kind of like really poorly in queer culture. So D&D was actually started by two conservative Christian men, and how D&D has evolved over time to be way more accepting and be kind of a safe space for um, people who are queer to express themselves and their sexuality and things like that. It's a really good story. It's only about 100 pages. I read it in one sitting. It's pretty good. So the next section here is Chef's Journey. So in this section, it was home cooking, a book you already own. Street food has an eye-opening, eye-catching cover, and fine dining, which is a special edition. So the home cooking novel, I actually got this when I went on the indie bookstore book crawl last year. Um, it's really good. It's actually the third book in a series, which I didn't realize until I was like almost done with it. But can be read as a standalone. You can figure out everything going on without reading the first two books. But I might go back and reread read the first two books of this because it is pretty good. But it's about a woman who is like a former CIA agent, and she is like living with her girlfriend at this time, and they go to her girlfriend's house, and her girlfriend is from like old money, and then her girlfriend like mysteriously disappears, and she's like trying to figure out what happened, and it's just like really good. It's really cute, little story. If you just want something like quick and easy to read, it's not too bad. Um, excuse me. So the next book I read was Zero Trust. This is a NetGalley read. Hold on a second. Let me look and see when it comes out. Okay, this book comes out September 22nd of this year. It's not bad. It's just like really slow in some spots, in my opinion. But it's about this woman. So there's multiple storylines. The first storyline is about a woman who's working at a hotel in Greece. Um, the other storyline that's kind of the major storyline is there's this man and a young woman, like very young, like 18, early 20s. And they work at a law firm that handles like wills and things like that. And there's a lot of other sub stories going on, but basically you find out there's like some really shady stuff going on. And it's really like, I don't know. It's a fun story. I just personally was not a fan of the like it just got slow to me in some parts. Um and then the last book I read in this section was Half City. This is a special edition book. So this has like art on the inside. It's got the sprayed edges. Um so I absolutely loved this book. This was a 5-star read for me. Um it's really well written. The characters are so well written. Um, like the story is about a demon hunter named Viv, who has grown up demon hunting pretty much her whole life in the city. And she gets recruited by Reed, who is this demon, to go into this school to learn to like hone her hunting skills and become a better hunter. So you got your like enemies to lovers, romanticy, um, but you have like so many different characters. Like you have her roommate, I think her roommate's name is like Sophia, who is like very much just like living her life, living her best life, and we love Sophia. You have Sophia's best friend, I think his name is Ethan, and he's kind of like a bro, like a himbo, like jock bro. And then you have Peter, who's like a coward and like very shy. So it's like you just have a lot of like very different personalities, and they're all very, very well written. The second book for this comes out in September. I've already pre-ordered the second book. I probably will reread this again, but it's really, really, really good if you're into like dark fantasy, academia kind of stuff. It's a good one. All right. So this was another section where I didn't have time to read everything. I did have a book planned for fusion cooking, but I just couldn't get to it in time. So, the first category in this section is international cuisine. The first category was eat local, which is read a book from an author in your country. The second category was global foods, author from another country, and then the third category was fusion cooking, which was a translated book. So I started with Heather Weber's Forget Me Not Library. I actually read the audiobook, but I had a copy. So I actually went to the author signing for this, and she signed this copy for me. But I also like ended up winning through Storygraph. I ended up winning the audiobook for this, so I actually listened to the audiobook, and it's very, very good. So this book is about a library in Alabama called Forget Me Not Library. One of the characters works there. And then there's a woman who kind of gets stranded in this city um, uh, in Alabama and is like, her car breaks down and she's kind of like forced to stay there for a few days to deal with stuff. So um, Heather Weber writes like romantic, like Hallmarky type books. These are like magical realism type stuff. Scooby has arrived. But basically, the reason that the one woman gets stuck in the city is the rumor around the city is like, or this town, I guess, like a small town. If you get trapped in Forget Me Not, it's because there's something there that can help you. And um, the one character like loses all of her memories, and Forget Me Not helps her remember what she lost. So, you know, she deals with kind of grief. I do think like I was crying at one point in this book. It's really like beautifully written, like just a very sweet little like Hallmarky type book. So the second book for this category was One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This. This is a book by Omar Al-Akkad. So this book is like a bit of a memoir where he talks about how um, he talks about like the hypocrisy of the Western world and America, and how like there's so much going on with like Israel and Gaza, and then people just kind of choose to ignore that it's happening. Um, and it's very much like his telling of growing up in a country where he basically like his family had to leave, and seeing a lot of that stuff happen firsthand as a child, and then like having to like be in a country that's like doesn't super acknowledge those things, and like how he presents that information to his children, how he talks to his friends about these things. And it's just a really like good, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's a really good like way to just be like to call out people for being so blasé about like the genocide, the mass genocide of a group of people. So um really well written. He has a really lovely voice. If you listen to the audiobook, he has like a really soft voice. Um, but yeah, it's really, really good. I do recommend this book if you are interested in maybe hearing some perspectives that you wouldn't normally listen to, and if you like that kind of stuff, great read. So in this section, I only got 3 of the 6 points. All right. And then the last section, I was not expecting to get anything in this section. By the end of the readathon, I was like a little burnt out and a little tired of reading, which I know is crazy. But I actually managed to sneak these 2 books in. Literally, I read Artificial Condition like the 30th, and then I read What Does It Feel Like on the 31st. Like, I'm not joking. That was literally like, I think I finished both of them on the 31st, actually. So, anyways, this was Advanced Culinary Skills, which was mixology, a book that blends genres, unusual ingredients, which is a genre you don't normally read, and then molecular gastronomy, which is a book with science. Um, Again, I just ran out of time, and I was kind of just like, I was feeling it, man. So, anyways, the first book, Artificial Condition, is actually the second book in the Murderbot Diaries. Again, still very funny, still following the same, the Murderbot, that's how he refers to himself. Um, Still following his like chronicles and stuff. So good, so funny. I put this in mixology because it's like a workplace comedy mixed with science fiction, and it's just like fun and weird, and but it fits pretty well. And again, these books are really, really short. And then this is literally the last book I read in May officially. I read it May 31st. It's really, really, really quick read. I think I finished this in like an hour. I think it's only like 100 pages, 120 pages. Yeah, it's like 125 pages, but the writing style is really, really quick, because you'll have like pages. Well, first of all, like the spacing is crazy. but you'll have like pages where she's like doing text messages and stuff, so it's like not a full page of printed stuff. But basically, this book is about a woman who has, I believe, stage 4 glioblastoma, which is a type of brain cancer. And she used to be a novelist. Um, and so you get kind of like a snip of her life before she got diagnosed with this brain cancer. And then you get like her trying to process the brain cancer, trying to like deal with her life after having cancer. And so a lot of this book is her like trying to figure out what's going on. She can't remember things. And the reason I put this in Unusual Ingredients is it's because it's semi-autobiographical fiction. Um, so she has a comment in the back of the book talking about how like it's really only fiction because she changed the names of the characters, and she uh like for things she couldn't remember, she just kind of like flourished the details a little bit. But she's like, for the most part, this is like what happened to her. And it's really, really good read. Um, I really, really liked this book a lot. It's just like, her family's dealing with it, she's dealing with it, and like, but it's written from her perspective and like how she had to like talk to her kids about it, and how she had to, you know, she kept asking her husband, like, where are the kids? And he'd be like, well, the kids were just here. Don't you remember? And she's like, yeah, of course I remember. But clearly she doesn't, because like she just had a massive brain tumor removed. So like, really, really good book. Highly, highly recommend this one. And again, really, really quick read. I think I read it in like an hour. Um, so that's all of what I read in part one. This video is gonna be like the longest part of the 3 parts of this. Um, but I'll get the rest of them and I'll let you know what I'm doing for June. So I will be back soon.